Good day. Thank you for joining us. My name is Gia, and welcome to this presentation made specifically for you, our homeschool parents. In this webinar, I will walk you through how to set up your child in Typing Agent, how to assign curriculum you want them to do, evaluate how well they've done, and then finally walk you through what your child will see when he or she is in Typing Agent. My goal is to be as quick as possible, so I won't be doing every single thing that's in Typing Agent because that will take us weeks to do, but I'm just going to hit on the more important things for you to note. So, because you're a homeschool parent, someone from our sales team would have contacted you, and they would have given you your secure web address for your homeschool. They would have given you your username and your password. Always note on your screen to make sure that you're logging in at that particular place. Also make sure that your child is logging in at that particular place and not typingagent.com. If you were to go to typingagent.com and put in your username and password, you will get an error message. So it's really important for you to take the web address that the team would have sent you, bookmark that on your computer, so that when your child goes to use Typing Agent, they log in at the correct space. So I'm going to log in with the information that was shared with me, and I will realize I land on this splash page. The key thing here for you to note is you are the school administrator. You are the parent, so this is how we address you as the administrator. I'm going to click here on the school management tab because we want to go in and manage how your homeschool works. The first thing I would do is check your time zone. Make sure that it makes sense to you, that you're in the right space, because if you aren't, your reports are going to be incorrect. So make sure that you find somewhere on here which time zone you're in, and I'm going to just put the East Coast of the US. I'm going to put what time I may start my my school, and I have it to start at 8 and end at 4. I can set my dates when the school starts and end for me in terms of when do I give my children a break from homeschooling, if ever. And then I make sure that I'm set for the school year, for this educational year. I click save, and then that's done for me. I don't have to worry about permissions, grade settings. Well, Typing Agent actually does a lot of this work for you. So you can trust our grade settings, but note you can always change them. If you have a child in, say, let me address this up front, a child in kindergarten or grades 1 or 2, you can go ahead and do this. Note that if any of them are using iPads with an external keyboard, and we stress it has to be used with an external keyboard, you may want to go and not activate this. Click this off because you cannot use the mouse exercises or do the mouse exercises in using an iPad or a tablet. So we suggest you just disable that and save your setting at the bottom. I can talk you through, and notice you can always see if your settings have been saved successfully. Looking on this page, I see that for my little ones, the K2 kids, I have them to use the K2 curriculum, which is perfect. They can do the digital citizenship curriculum, the Type Your Own Adventure curriculum. But if you didn't want them to do anything and just focus on, say, keyboarding, you can click those off and get that going for your little ones. With grit coins, and let me talk through this now because these are important concepts for you to understand for all of the grade levels. At each grade level, you have similar settings. If you want your children to play games in Typing Agent, we suggest that you enable this after they've finished World. For the K2 children, it would be Mountain 1. Make sure they've climbed the first mountain. Or if they're in grades 3 and above, that they've finished World 4 in Typing Agent. Why we suggest doing that is because our typing agent has gamified learning, so we make the learning itself fun. So we don't need the children playing games, but we know many of you parents want your kids to have fun, so you may want to open up that environment for them. But when they're in the games console, they're going to be exposed to every letter or every character that's on the keyboard. So with that being said, if you open the games up for them and your children are only learning the home row keys, they're going to be getting letters or characters for which they've not been taught, and they will start using bad technique. So we suggest leaving it until after the children have climbed Mountain 1 in the K2 environment, or World 4 in the 3+ environment. Another way you can handle games is, if you don't want to disable it, use grit coins. Grit coins is typing agent's way of making sure that children earn the right to go into that game environment. What it makes them do is earn grit coins or earn tokens to go and play games. So as your children complete a lesson successfully, they earn 1 grit coin. They can use those grit coins to buy avatars or to buy game time when they're in Typing Agent. So if you have this activated, the children will have to do at least 10 lessons successfully before they can go in and play games, or when they buy a certain amount, they can then go and update their avatars. Once you've done any of these things, you click Save. For the skip placement test, this is permitted for children in grades 3 and above, so this does not necessarily apply to the K2 kids. But the grades 3 and above, if you don't want them to take the test, they can skip it. However, I would suggest not doing that, because when they take that placement test, we're going to put them in the correct learning environment. So we're not going to give them something too hard nor too easy. We're going to evaluate how well they type, and we're going to place them at the environment that's going to work best for them and their typing needs. So that's grade settings. I can always, as I said, pretty much the same things will be in each of these. Notice I'm in grades 4 through 5. So notice they are now no longer in the K2 environment, they're in the Keyboarding's 3+, and they have more curriculums open to them. I want to use the grit coins, and I want them to do the test, so I won't enable that. But notice I've enabled the skip mouse exercises because I don't need my older children to do that. I think they pretty much know how to use the mouse, but if they didn't, then I would skip it. Sorry, then I would enable that feature. Gradebook. Gradebook is, however, and you choose where your child is. If you have a child, say, in grade 4, if they were in grade 4, this is how Typing Agent would mark them. What is an A, B, C, or D? You can always go and change these if you don't like what we have. Again, for grade 4, since I'm using that as my marker, these are our target settings. In grade 4, the standard really is typing 20 words per minute at 85% accuracy. You will notice our proficiency statement says typing at 4 stars, and I actually want no max retries. What I want the child to do is slow down and go steadily, and they will actually win this race. Just with learning to type, it is, again, learning a body kinesthetic skill that takes practice, practice, practice. We need to build a solid foundation for the children to work on. So if they cannot type FJ well, and we start adding more keys onto what they've learned so far before they're ready to move on, it's going to actually hinder them with their keyboarding success. So make sure that they're typing at a 2-star proficiency, which is this. If you want, you can always set it at 1-star proficiency or 3 stars. So at 20 words a minute, 85% accuracy, anyone in grade 4, if they meet those goals, again, no max retries. I can update that. And notice if it said save successfully, then I know these are the goals to which my children will be working. I'll show you where this comes in later. Notice if I were to say I had a child in grade 7, or you can actually even use it with an adult and put them at grade 12, they can actually be working towards 60, 65 words per minute. If they're in grade 12, we're expecting 60 words a minute at 85% accuracy. But if ever you wanted to change these, you can actually go in and modify your settings. So for your older children, you can put them to type at 80% accuracy at 70 words a minute and 90% accuracy. And because I'm making this my 2-star goal, I will then have to change this to 75% accuracy at 95, and then say at no max retries, and update that, and it saves successfully. So now my grade 12 student is able, or adult is able, to type successfully. If you have additional accounts, you can always set yourself up as one of the students, but make sure you put yourself away from your child so that you do not mess with your child's or the grade's goals or their reports. I won't go into any of these, but if you wanted to put a picture of your child or you on your typing agent page, note that, see, when I logged on, I clicked here, I can change my photo, go in and log in and choose a picture that you may want to put of your child if you wanted to do that. I don't need to worry about anything else here because that does not necessarily affect us at this point. So let's go and click on with how do I get a classroom started? So notice I clicked here for my classroom. I'm going to go and just do everything manually. So I need to give my classroom a name. So let's say I'm going to call just be simple and call, since my child is in grade 4, I'm going to call it grade 4. I'm going to choose the grade 4 curriculum to be served up for them. Notice that I am the teacher and I can click save. Notice as soon as I do that, grade 4 appears here. Now, if I have, say, a child in grade 2, I can click here. I can name this grade 2, and I'm going to make sure that child gets the grade 2 curriculum. And again, I'm the teacher, and I'm going to click create. Notice that my 2 classrooms are now there. So now here's the next thing. I have my classrooms created, but do I have children in them? No. So I can click on my grade 2 class or my grade 4 classroom, and I can put my child in here. Again, I only have 10 students, so I can easily do this manually. I can click on this class, and I'm going to click to add a specific student. I'm going to suppose my child's name is Bob, so that becomes his username. I can give him any password Bob wants, and I'm going to put grade 4, and I'm going to put Bob, and I'm going to put, say, let's see, Farmer. Let me say that's my last name, and I'm going to click create. I don't want to save this with any of my tools. So here's Bob's user. Notice he's now in grade 4. He has never logged in, so this is why this says total not applicable, and he's never logged in. If ever I didn't remember what Bob's password is, I can always go to settings, and I can go to show passwords, click to update. I can go back to where Bob was and notice Bob's password is there for me to see. We just do this as a security goal for us so that we don't if ever you were to walk away, other people won't see your child, their username and password. So that's how I would use this. Notice here where we have curriculum. Notice I had showed you all the different curriculums that are in Typing Agent when I had gone through the main settings. But here I get to see all of the curriculums that are available to them. Notice here though, we may have certain things activated, but certain curriculums won't be given to your children until they've gained a certain number of experience points. Your child earns experience points whenever they go and do an activity and earns 1, 2, or 3 stars. If your child were, say, doing the first activity and they earned 3 stars, which was to work beyond grade level expectations, they earn 30 experience points. If they were to only get 1 star, they earn 10 experience points. So if they were to repeat a lesson, they only earn 10 or more if they do that lesson the first time. Should they repeat it, they earn just 1 experience point. So when you're going through Typing Agent, if you've enabled that they can do any of these extra curriculums, you notice that we have experience points and for them. So if they were to go and do Type Your Own Adventure, they will have to gain 5,000 or earn 5,000 experience points for this to be open. You can always go and change these if you don't want, if you want it. If you don't want them to do that at 5,000, you can change it to 4,000 or to 0, and you can then update that. So this is just a way of gamifying it so that kids do not get exposure to other curriculums before they're ready. Notice that the coding lessons, because we do type code and not block coding, they're going to actually have to type the codes that programmers or developers use. We want them to go through the whole keyboard. So this is why we have this set at 65,000 or 7,000 points before they get exposure to those curriculums. So this is why they're there. As notice, because you're in grade 4, these targets that you would have already set are there, so your child is working towards them. The lesson settings are there. You can always change them. We have our default settings in place. These are, again, if you want it specifically for this class, you can always modify these things. If you have a special needs child, like for example, your child may only have, say, the right hand functioning, you can always activate that for the curriculum for this child to see a curriculum just with the right hand or the left hand. You can always change the fonts to any of these. If you have a child who's visually impaired, you can click on the low vision and we'll serve up that. Notice we have all these high contrast, enabling text to speech, closed captioning, always hands on screens, or we show the hands on the screen, but if your child doesn't like it, you can always go and change that. Or if you want, you can lock that on screen keyboard so that your child could not minimize it, because in their settings, they definitely can do so. This is now where you serve up the digital citizenship curriculum. If you don't want them to have access to that, your children, you can always lock them, and notice it's now closed. So let's go and do something with grade 2. Again, you can always add a single student by clicking on here, and I can always call my grade, say Tammy, and I'm going to make this easy with the password you should never use, 1, 2, 3, 4. And Tammy's in grade 1. Tammy, farmer, and create. And it's just as easy as that. This is now your children are ready to use Typing Agent. I want to call your attention to these 3 dots right here. If ever you wanted to add a parent or a teacher to this account, you can always go ahead and click that and add those details and assign that parent to a particular classroom. I wanted to call your attention to these offline booklets. They are there particularly because you're home. You can do offline activities like puzzles or do lots of floor work with your kids, getting their bodies jumping around. These booklets are here. You can always print them because it's in PDF format. You can always do that. Should your child ever complete a mountain or you really wanted to encourage them with a certificate, you can print any of those things here. I don't think you need to be creating an announcement, but if ever you wanted to tell your kids, hey, work on something today, you can actually create an announcement. And when your child logs in, they'll see the announcement that you've created. But just wanting to draw your attention there. Note that this help screen is always here. You could always go here and search for things that will be that can actually help you. Just search, find a topic that you're interested in, and it's going to come up as a pop-in. And say, for instance, how I spoke about experience points. An article will come here. You can just click on that and read what experience points are all about. Let's see. Oh, the big thing parents love to know is reports. Not only parents, but teachers want to know about reports. The key thing here is for you to look at your progress reports. And progress reports, if notice I'm in grade 2, so I can click on the grade 2 curriculum and it'll tell me what my child has done for each particular flag. Notice if your child has completed a mountain, and in mountain 1 there are 15 flags. If they've gone to the Sunset Mountain, mountain 2, there are 30 flags. It tells you how well they've done for each particular lesson. If I were to go say, and notice here, if you see your child gets a gold 3 stars, that means here it will tell you that the child has earned a gold star, and it will tell you what's their average accuracy and speed. If they've earned a silver star or they've earned 1 star. If this legend here tells you exactly what they mean, and if ever there's a flag, it tells you that your child is not working up to par. So maybe you should go and edit. If it's really too difficult, just click on your child's name and click accommodations, and you can actually go and make modifications for your child. So if 10 words per minute is really too hard for your child, put them at, say, 7 words per minute, but do not decrease the accuracy. A typing agent, we really want to work on being accurate before being fast. And then you click apply, and then you'll notice as soon as you do that, a star is beside your child's name because you've made an accommodation for that child. So if you have other children in this class, in this K2 classroom, or if I were to click to grade 4, notice Bob doesn't have one there for him. But if there were other children in this class and Bob had something there for him, he would have an asterisk, but the other children would not. This is how you make accommodations for a particular child. So the progress report is really good because, again, you can see, and I'm on grade 4, so I would go to the grades 3 and higher curriculum. And instead of seeing flags, we see worlds. So the children go through their exercises in worlds, and the exercise we see here will be the main lesson. Remember, I said typing agent has gamified learning. So we give children lots of time to practice, and whenever they get to an exercise where on their screen they see a keyboard on their screen, we're now going to grade them for that particular lesson. So they're going to have to do those exercises well, and we then keep all their grades for all of the 32 worlds that they do. If ever you wanted a detailed summary of how far they're through the program and how well they've done, notice this kid is at an F because they haven't done anything yet. So this is where you would go. Another report I would suggest you look at is time report, because many times teachers want to know, how long has my child been in typing agent? So note, we have the child's name and we'll tell you what's their total time. You can check for this week, this month, 180 days all time, or you can customize your dates. There's a chart at the bottom here that will tell you in school time and out of school time. So when you set your time register, when I showed you, you set the time zone and you say when your school typically starts and ends, this bar graph that will appear here will tell you how much time your student or your child has spent in typing agent. Note with time, if your child is actually typing, we take that time. But if your child, say, it's logged into typing agent, but they've gone off running somewhere to the bathroom or went to get something to eat, when they're not active, we're not recording. So just how I'm not typing, my time would not be recorded in typing agent. So when you get a time report, it really shows how well or how much time they have spent in typing agent. The diagnostic test is really good because your child from kindergarten to grade 12, when they enter typing agent, they're going to be asked to do a diagnostic test. The diagnostic test is 2 minutes long and it is meant to show progress over time. So for your K2 children, call it I Spy. When they log into their environment, they're going to get a test, and I'll show you literally how that works. But when you go through your diagnostic test, you select, say for your K2 kids, you see diagnostic test 1, and as they go through mountain 3, they'll then get up to diagnostic test 4. So you'll be able to track their typing agent progress over time. If it were your grade 4 child and you do the diagnostic test, your child has to type well for this first diagnostic test, and then all the way after they finished World 4, we then serve them with diagnostic test 1, and they get a diagnostic test each time they finish a particular world. The graph that's seen here, you should be able to track that your child has grown and improved their keyboarding skills over time. One more test that I would recommend you taking a look at is the custom test, and you can always check to see by student or classroom. You can pull the report, the types of things that you want, and you can actually run that report and get exactly what your child has done and what grades your child has earned. Note that all of these things are here. If ever you wanted to see what your child did today, you can always click on there, what they did yesterday, what they did in the last 7 days, or over the past 30 days. We give you a detailed, detailed report, or you can just get a summary of what they did and what grade they've earned for all of their lessons. These are really cool reports that you can have that will show you what your child has done in typing agent. What I'm now going to do is enter as a grade 2 child. This is what here, notice I can go on here and I can log in for this child. I should note that parents, please again, do not log in and do the activities as a child. If you wanted to do the activities, just click on your demo student button that's here, and you can log on and do any curriculum that you want in typing agent, or you can create and let's say I clicked on here, I can do this diagnostic test. And this is what the child would see. And for the K2 kids, remember, we're not expecting them to know how to type. This is their first experience with typing agent. So when they enter the first time, just use it as an I Spy activity. Tell them, look for the letter T. Can you find the letter T? They can go ahead, find the letter T, and then they can wait for a bit. Remember, this test is 2 minutes long, and you notice that the time is being clocked down here. So then if they get that, look for the letter H. Okay, find the letter H. Okay, notice we give them a noise saying, hey, you made an error, and they can't move on. The key thing for your child to pass this test is not to make any errors. So really try to get them not to make any mistakes as they do this particular test, and then they will move on to the next flag. While we're here, I may as well focus on this. When your child logs on, they'll see a board similar to this. This here tells them, if I hover over it, you can actually see what it means. It tells the child their average speed, their average accuracy, how much time they actually spent in typing agent. And this here is the streak button. If you have any, this here, the streak, just like in other platforms, it's a way of encouraging your child to keep typing or type every day. Typing agent recommends that your child types for 10 minutes, 5 times a week. So it doesn't have to be every day, but we want them to spend 10 minutes, 5 times a week and earning 85% accuracy. So if they logged on those for at least once every 72 hours, we will tell them what their streak is. Notice that I have not been typing, so this is why this pause comes up. We do not want people or your children, quote, cheating the system. So we said, okay, we'll wait until you're ready to get started again. They have to click the space bar to get this going. This here, if you have assigned work for your child to do, and I should show you how to do this, if they were to click on any of their calendars, you would see what work you would assign for them to do last week, this week, and next week. This here is the leaderboard, and you really don't need to worry about this unless you have multiple kids in your class and they're trying to see which student has actually been more accurate than anyone else. This is where you earn experience points, so children can see how many experience points they've earned to open up those other curriculums. These are where they have the grit coins. The grit coins, remember, are used to buy avatars or to buy game time or improve their avatars. And these are the badges they would have earned while they're in typing agent. So I'm in a child's environment, even though I'm acting as a demo student. And your child, if they don't want to see anything, this is where they can choose their theme that they can work on. So if they want an ocean theme, they can click there and notice it automatically chooses their background. But if they earn grit coins, they can use grit coins to buy other backgrounds that are behind here. If they wanted to select a language, they can either have the language being shown, the instructions in English or Spanish, but that's not the curriculum. The curriculum is in English, but if you wanted to, in that curriculum area, you can actually assign a Spanish curriculum instead of an English curriculum for the children to type. This is where the children can choose an avatar to go here. Here they can, and then they're going to address their avatar when they buy it. They can choose a voiceover, should enable it, should they want to have verbal instructions or have instructions read to them as they go through it. And minimize screen, should they want to be able to see their whole screen, because some people can't, particularly if you're using a Chromebook. You may want to make sure that they minimize this screen and make sure that they have US English enabled in their Chromebooks, so that when they press apostrophes or special characters, it's actually enabled. If ever, note whenever you scroll back over here, those progress things come up. I'm going to go back and maximize that so that I see that at all times. Your children, they can always note how far they are through the program with this particular icon. I click on the phone home button to go home, and your children do the exact same thing in their environment. Let me show the 3+, your children who are in 3+, they'll see this environment. They can click on here, and remember, they do a placement test as well as a diagnostic test. So the placement test is going to tell them where they will go. Will they be on paths A, B, C, or D? And then they do the diagnostic test, and it's going to put them on see and notice that I didn't do that test, so I'm automatically put on path A, which tells me I'm going to start at the home row. And then I do my diagnostic test, and then I log in here. Notice here where I was talking about the stars. I look here and notice I haven't done this activity yet, so it tells me that I need to start here. I can try and click on here. This one I think is the only one. Oh yes, I'm set as demo student. If my child were to try to do this in his or her account, it will not allow them to move on. They have to complete the exercises one at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Remember I was telling you the stars? Children have to get 2 stars in order to move on. Please make sure you sit with your child as they do lesson 1, because this is where we talk about ergonomics. Make sure your child is using the right technique with the right sitting position while they're in typing agent. Note here, this is where we teach. When I remember I talked about the gamified way of teaching. So this is where they're actually watching a video. This is where we actually teach the concept. This is where we do a star destroyer exercise where we're getting them to use the correct fingers. This is the game where we get them to practice the letters they're using. And whenever your child sees this keyboard, this is where we're assessing what they've done. And so in your progress report, you will see how well your student scored here or your child scored in this activity. Whenever you see a type of activity, we're going to get your child practicing the letters they did not type well. So because this first lesson will only be practicing FJ, we'll get them practicing FJ again. Let's say they finished up to, this is World 1, Lesson 6. They're only going to get 2 activities here, so we're going to assess them with this particular activity, with this particular, with type up to practice those. This here, all of these worlds will have your children practicing the home row, learning the home row, and they can always go back, click here to get back to this particular environment, or they can click the phone home button to get to whatever icons you have opened. If ever your child needed to get out of the program, you have them click this exit button. And I'm going to do that now. And they get to this, our generic page, where we're just say, and remember, this is not where your child logs in. They log in at your specific typing agent page. So I've walked you basically through how to use typing agent, how to get your students set up, your child set up in typing agent, how to assign the curriculum to them, evaluate how well they've done, and I've walked you through what your child would have seen in typing agent. Should you ever have any questions, please email support@typingagent.com, and it's SUPPORT@typingagent, that's TYPINGAGENT.com, and we'll be happy to help you. I didn't show you, but inside there was a chat button always at the bottom right. If you ever, as the admin, you wanted to ask us questions, you can always go in there and ask us questions as well. You can go to our YouTube channel where we post our videos, or always go to our help network where I showed you, where you can Google, where you can type in the question that you have and we will answer it. Thank you so much for listening and being in this webinar. I hope you're a little bit more comfortable with using Typing Agent. And remember, we are always here to assist. I wish you a great time with it and your child all the best. Thank you.